LENSEC Live, What's Your Perspective? And today we have a pre-recorded interview, but it's really, really interesting interview that we're going to learn about what our manufacturing reps do. So we're going to have John Brothers from Professional Sales Agents on the show, and he's the CEO of Professional Sales Agents. And we're going to learn about John Brothers and how he started the company, but also learn about how he works with LENSEC and how our manufacturing reps help us get opportunities for business working with new partners and also new end users. So enjoy the interview with John Brothers, and I'll be back to kind of close it out and give you some more of a summary of our show. So enjoy the interview with John Brothers of Professional Sales Agents. And I'm excited to welcome the program today. My guest is John Brothers, the CEO of PSA. John, thanks for stopping by. What's your perspective?
You're welcome, Neil.
Now, John, so I appreciate you. How are you surviving the pandemic? Because I know that has been a shift completely in the way everyone has done business the last 6 months. How have you shifted?
Yeah, it really has, Neil. It's affected a lot of things in our business. We're surviving, and it just kind of depends on the vertical in our world. Some verticals are doing very well, others not so well. But it's balanced out. The March, April, May time period was down in some cases for some of the lines that I represent as much as 60%. But that's kind of balanced out. It's come back a little bit, and I guess I'm thankful to be in the data communications, telecommunications, physical security world, which hasn't been completely devastated.
Wow, yeah, and that's true as an essential business. Let's go to basically your background. Tell us about your background, John.
Okay, so I've been a salesman for over 35 years, and I started as a manufacturer's rep in '97, and I started with PSA, the company I'm the CEO of at this point. This company was started in 1978 in Atlanta, Georgia, and since then I've bought the company. But we're telecom, data communications, physical security, AV rep firm. So we are representing multiple manufacturers into the marketplace. We work with dealers who install our products, and we work with some of the redistributors of our product as well. So been around since '78, and we cover about 12 states, and we've got 12 sales reps.
So what made you want to go from just sales rep to starting your own company?
Well, it's just part of the natural progression for me. You start out as a sales guy, and, nothing's ever as good enough when you're in sales, right? Just more and more. And I was a pretty young, aggressive guy, and I knew I needed more. I was working for a fairly large Fortune 500 manufacturer. And through some connections, matter of fact, I was actually in my first job, I was managing some rep firms, so I knew that model, and I thought, I might like to be on that side. So jumped over to an established rep firm, and then through time, that's usually how rep firms are passed along. They're either passed along through a family, or one of the employees will buy out. And so it came to pass that I was able to do that, and it's worked out very well.
So PSA, is it mostly the physical security, or the types of products that you sell?
Well, it's kind of a long and interesting story, as you can imagine, since '78. But we started off in telecom, actually selling to service providers or regional bell operating companies like Bell South and Southwestern Bell, and those companies that are all a part of AT&T now, doing telecommunications. And from there, the natural progression was to get into datacom. As networks became prolific, a lot of the cabling and everything was the same. So we got into physical layer networking. And then, as you know, things like voice went from analog to digital, voice over IP.
Right.
And so anything pretty much these days that grabs an IP address, like a camera, or an access control system, or maybe even audio products. Those products have then kind of morphed into what we do, right? So, and we had a different perspective than maybe a traditional AV rep or security rep. We didn't necessarily have the old school or old world knowledge, but what we did have was the networking knowledge. And as things become more networked, it would just seem to be a good fit for PSA to move into that arena. So we've been involved in physical security, CCTV, if you will, or surveillance, however you want to describe it, probably about 11, 12 years now.
Okay. And how have you seen the security industry change in that 12-year time period?
Well, I mean, for us, getting into that marketplace was interesting. We had to, we took on some lines that we're trying to build as we learned the marketplace. And as it transitioned from analog to IP, it was just a few years ago, as LENSEC well knows, that the market converged, and it's well more IP at this point than it is analog or TVI. So that transition we kind of went through in the voice world as well, where that was all analog, and then went to digital with voice over IP. And when that transition happens, it usually starts slow, builds up some momentum, and then it just kind of takes off. And that's what's happened for us, and it's been a good thing for us to be in this space.
Yeah, it definitely has, and you see the growth process and all that. But what is the role of a manufacturing rep? What do they do? Because a lot of people, hear of that world, but really to understand the role versus a manufacturer and hiring a rep firm to represent them, what do they do?
So we're a contract sales force for the companies we represent. Most of the companies like LENSEC utilizes our knowledge of the market and our people on the street. We become, in a way, kind of a cost of goods sold, and that it's a fairly effective, and for our manufacturers can be a very cost-effective way for them to go to market, because we are contract employees, if you will, right? Paid by commission from the sales that we make. So it's a good model for us. Obviously, we hope it's good for our manufacturers, right? If not, they probably would change our contract, if you will. So that's, I think, the easiest way to understand a manufacturer's rep, at least in our business. And reps have been around for years and years. In our business, I like to just think as we are we're the contract employee for that manufacturer to get out, sell, market, to sometimes customer service, everything required in the field.
And that's the boots on the ground. I mean,
Correct.
Especially if you're a big company like LENSEC that's international, and when we talk about just North America and the areas that you cover for us, it's a large area, John, that you can't expect to have just someone from LENSEC able to cover all that, so that you are the eyes and ears on the ground, able to meet with customers, do different things that, while someone is in 5 states and it would take two plane trips to get there. So that's the difference of what that manufacturer rep brings to the table, is that they know the local groundwork of that territory, backwards and forwards, compared to a large territory, which our regional managers cover.
Yeah, Neil, that's the idea. And if you're good at your job, then you become a very valuable partner to the manufacturers that we represent.
All right. So, when you take on different products, there's a process, right? You're not going to just say, hey, I'm just going to take on this product and sell it, right? That doesn't work that way, does it?
No, that's a tough process, to build what we call our line card. And the manufacturer's reps today, a little bit different from even maybe 10, 20 years ago. You typically have one product on your line card for each discipline, So For LENSEC is my video management system. I don't have another video management system that I represent. I have Speaker Technologies as my camera and recorder line. It also has some video products. So you're always looking to add pieces, and so you look out in the marketplace and you see all these companies you might like to have, but they may be already represented by somebody here locally and well represented, so there would be no reason for them to change. And there's a lot of companies that just don't use the rep model. And I've talked to plenty of those and explained, the advantages of using manufacturer's reps. So yeah, it's just not as easy for me just to reach out. I'd like to be the rep for XYZ. I'm just going to call them up because our contracts are usually exclusive, so there's no one else in my territory that is representing that product, and so because of that exclusivity, those opportunities don't just come up every day. So you build it by knowing the market, understanding that somebody's looking for a rep to represent them, and you basically interview for the line, and if it goes well, then you pick up the contract.
When you were presented the opportunity to sell LENSEC, what intrigued you the most?
Well, VMS being software is a little bit different. We do represent a lot of hardware, but it's a big part of enterprise surveillance, right? It is the thing that ties it all together. Because for the most part, what is video if it's not for forensics for some situation,
right?
And so LENSEC brings an incredibly robust product offering to us that will pretty much give us whatever our customer will need, but yet it presents itself in a very simple, easy to use format. And that's, as we know out in the field, and we still hear it today, really almost too much, is that people don't know how to get the video that they need, or the video obviously has to be presented to the VMS, but they don't know how to go back and get the video. And a lot of times they have to bring their dealer back in to just say, hey, we had something happen on this day, this month. We don't even know how to get the video. But with perspective, it's so simple. A little 15-minute review with the security manager, and he knows how to use it, right? So I think that's what kind of drew us in to becoming a rep for perspective.
And that's, you said the ease to use, but you look at specifically enough, you said that you understand the system. It's like some other types of software so complex, you have to really know it well. And it was easy for you to figure out, John, and then be able to explain that to your customers, to the integrators, and say, you know what, this is why it's great. And then when they have an issue, they could call you, John, and John, you understand and can explain it back to them. That's not like certain softwares, right? Where you figured out the intuitiveness of this and can explain it very easily to somebody else.
Yeah, you're right, Neil. Think about it this way. We all carry these smartphones with us. We use iPads. We become, just creatures that need simplicity. You need to be able to push a button, touch this on the screen, and get what it needs to be intuitive, right? And so that's what I love about the Perspective product is, if you need to see cameras, you push the camera button. Depending on what you need to do, there's a button there, and it's very simplistic. You don't have to go through a tree of options, and you get down a rabbit hole. You can't even hardly figure out how to get back out. It's very simple to use, and it's right in front of you. But yet it's incredibly robust. I swear I don't think I've run across any kind of a dealer or an end customer's issue that we can't handle for them in one way or
one of our director of sales always talks about seeing is believing. And when you heard about the product and then you saw it and you present that to other people demoing that product, what kind of reactions do you get from those customers?
Well, it's usually the reaction is like, oh, okay, that's pretty simplistic. I mean, let's face it, all VMSs capture video. It's just like all access control systems, lock and unlock doors.
Right.
The fact that we can integrate, and that's another piece of it that was really nice, is the really nice integration with a lot of different access control systems. That I think is because if you are presenting to, let's say, a school system, they have certain things that they're looking for. And a lot of times they're very simplistic. So they may not even need some of the sophistication that we can bring them, right? They've just got 4 or 5 things that they need to do. And when they see how easy it is for them to do those 4 or 5 things, they're usually like, oh, okay, well, if it's that simple, then let's just roll with this. Anyone who would present a VMS would have the ability to probably do certain things. It's how you do those things and the ease of use that really that makes the difference.
And it makes the customer, first of all, our customer, first of all, is the integrator. Then the next customer is the end user, the ability for that end user to understand all the technology that's involved in Perspective VMS. And that's so key that you could show them those things and say, okay, now I'm going to utilize them. There are lots of things in security that are bells and whistles that we have in all products we use every day that we never use them. But because of how the Perspective VMS can be used by and understand very easily, it makes it so that certain things like having to go our fast find feature, to go find specific footage that really quickly, instead of, oh my gosh, I got to go back and see, let me go to review all this footage for an incident occurred. No, it's gonna be quick and easy to pull up and find, or our global search or workflows, those things. So what is your favorite feature in Perspective VMS?
I love the integration. We've demoed with some of your partners on access control. That's a really nice feature. And I know some others do it, but I don't think they do it as deeply as we do with being able to control doors and lock and unlock, which most companies would have to go to the access control system to do. The follow me process where someone comes in a front door, there's an incident, be able to just easily be able to follow them through the building from camera to camera. I think, again, some of the more simple things are, I think my favorite features are just how to navigate. Navigating is so simplistic. I love to show how easy that is. And even during a demo, be able to turn it over to them and they get comfortable right away. That's a big selling feature for me. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm a sales guy and we sell product, right? So I like those features that help me sell. And usually those things are the things that turn people on.
Perfect. Okay. So that was great. What we learned about why a manufacturer rep would pick up a manufacturer like LENSEC and what he loves about selling the product. Because at the end of the day, as sales guys, both you and I, we have to sell something that we love or we like. If we're going to sell something we don't like, the customer is going to understand really quickly that they're really selling us a bill of goods they don't even believe in. And you believe in LENSEC, and that's such an important thing when you're selling a product or service, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it makes it a lot easier. I've had lines on the card that, eventually you figure out, it's not a right fit, and then you move on. But when you find that thing that people enjoy selling, and it fits, things have to fit synergistically for me. I have to have the camera, I've got to have the server, I've got to have, the software on that server. So when I'm in a sales call, which, we've all seen the articles, $200 to $500 a sales call. I need to make sure that I'm getting my value out of making those sales calls. And so having a complete system is important. And, LENSEC gives me that ability to make sure that I've got, I check all the boxes.
Where can we find information on PSA and people, and who would be the people that really should visit PSA?
So we push people to our website, if they need to know who their local rep is, or if they want to see what we represent, and then drill into those companies from our website if they want to. It's just a portal, and that's prosalesagents.com. And you'll find a map there that's interactive that will show you who the rep is and what we represent in certain territories and the states that we cover in those territories. So that's basically our portal to our manufacturers, and it's also a portal to get to know PSA and what we do.
Always important to go back and get to know who you're dealing with, especially if somebody visits that is representing LENSEC or any of the other products and services. Who is PSA and who you guys are, and you're a well-trusted manufacturing rep firm that's been around for a long time. The last point that everyone needs to, I want to thank again John Brothers for coming by. Thanks again, John. You really gave me some good stuff, even though I've been working with your reps to understand more and more the man behind the great group of sales reps that I deal with on a regular basis with our regional sales manager, Mike Deeks, and other people from LENSEC. So again, kudos to your team, and it was great that you stopped by. What's your perspective?
Okay, thanks, Neil. I appreciate it.
Thanks again for tuning in to What's Your Perspective Live here on LENSEC Live. Please check out lensec.com/live. And again, we want to thank John Brothers for stopping by to tell us about learning about professional sales agents, and make sure you check him out as well. Tune in next week to another great episode of What's Your Perspective. Take care, guys.